What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. We're just doing a little sports talk today. The Stanley Finals continues tonight at 8 o'clock on ABC as well as ESPN Plus. Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Colorado Avalanche. Game 2. Colorado leads 1-0. Colorado won 4-3 in overtime in Game 1. Should be a very exciting game. I think it'll be a really good series. It'll be interesting to see who wins. I find it hard to bet against Tampa just because they're just so good. They've won the championship 2 years in a row. It's basically the same exact core, the last few years. They got probably the best coach in the world in John Cooper, who's done a great job there. I love my boy Igor Shesterkin, but probably the best goalie in the world, especially in the postseason, in Andrei Vasilevsky. They got a very deep offensive attack. They got a really deep blue line. They have so much experience. They really get miss of veteran guys and youngsters. It's a really good organization, and all I do is win. They've seems like they've come from behind a couple times this postseason. They were down 3-2 against Toronto in the first round, came back and won that series. They were down 2-0 against the Rangers in the Eastern Conference Finals, came back and won that series. So they've come from behind before. The Colorado Avalanche definitely have the ability to beat the Lightning. In order to beat Tampa, obviously you got to score. You got to be able to get the puck past Vasilevsky. And Colorado, we know can do that. They have one of the best offensive attacks in the NHL. They're by far the best offensive team in the playoffs. They've gone crazy in the playoff when it comes to the amount of goals that they've scored. We're well over 4 goals a game in the postseason so far. Also, what you have to do to beat the Lightning, you have to get shots on goal. You have to be able to get pucks to the net. That's one thing the Rangers did not do. They did not get enough pucks to the net. If you're only getting 24, 25, 26 shots like the Rangers did in the conference finals, you will not beat the Lightning because Andrei Vasilevsky, if he's only facing 25 or 26 shots, he's not going to let in more than 1 or 2 goals. But if, like Colorado was in Game 1, you're able to get 30, 32, 35, 40 shots on Vasilevsky, you might be able to get 3 or 4 goals. And Tampa can beat you anyway. Tampa can beat you in low-scoring game, 2-1, 1-0, because they got such a great goalie. And they can beat you 5-4 if they need to, because they have such a great offensive attack. But you need to get shots on goal, which Colorado can do. They absolutely can. My one problem is I don't know if they keep the puck out of their own net. It's not the problem is not putting the puck in the opposing team's net. That's never been the problem. But the whole issue has been, can they keep the puck out of their own net? Because their defense is, I think they have a good group of defensemen. Kale Macker is an excellent player, and Eric Johnson's another good player. But their goaltending situation isn't fantastic. Darcy Kemper had a good year. He's a pretty good goalie. He's coming off an injury. He played pretty well Game 1, but he is coming off an injury. He's never really been here before, so he's out between Andrei Vasilevsky. I think Tampa will win the series, but we'll see. Should be a very good series for Game 2 tonight at 8 o'clock. Do a little NBA draft talk. The NBA draft is on Thursday, and we have a mic request from Patrick Ruch, so let's get Pat up here. Let's give him 10 minutes on the hot seat. We're on Talkin Sports with Jake. We're live on Colorcast. Patrick is going to come on and talk about whatever he wants to talk about.
Hey, big fan. It's great talking to you, bud. I hope you're enjoying your weekend. You brought up NBA draft, and that made, antennas go up. Yeah, so there's a guy named Jaden Ivey.
Yes.
Don't be surprised if he breaks up that projected top 3 consensus of it being, in any particular order, Jabari, Chet, Polio, because Jaden Ivey is by far the best guard in this draft. And he can step in and contribute right away if drafted in the right situation. He was a big-time sophomore at Purdue. He has a great mix of characteristics of that of a point guard and of a shooting guard. Put him in the right situation, this guy can ball. He's the second best player in the draft behind Jabari. So that'd be interesting.
Jay Navi is definitely the best guard in the draft. Probably can play point guard and shooting guard. Played very well at Purdue. Will almost certainly be a top 5 pick, if not at least a top 4 pick.
Yeah, so here's a pretty good mock draft I usually use. I use NBADraft.net. It's been pretty good for me over the years. And where they have Jaden Ivey is they have him being drafted number 2 overall. Well,
Wow.
wait, actually, no, they don't. They have Jaden Ivey being drafted number 4 by the
Okay.
Sacramento Kings. But he's their big board number 2, which means he's their second best player on the draft, despite the fact he's projected to be drafted number 4.
Yeah, he's a very good player. You look at the top 4 or 5 picks. You got the Orlando Magic, who have some young guards over there. They got Cole Anthony. They got Jalen Suggs. But I think Jalen Suggs is a very good player. I really liked him at Gonzaga. He didn't have the greatest rookie year, but, he's not exactly playing with a ton of playmakers either. Orlando's a very, very young and inexperienced team. Then you got the Oklahoma City Thunder, who do have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They could play Ivy at the 2, or maybe put Shai at the 2 and put Ivy at the 1. Houston goes number 3. If you have him and Jalen Green, Ivy and Jalen Green, that's a really good young guard duo. At 4, you have the Kings. Whoever goes to the Kings, my apologies. First of all, that's a very bad organization. They had Tyrese Halliburton, not anymore. They decided to trade him for whatever pathetic reason. They thought that was a good idea. They do have De'Aaron Fox, as well as Davion Mitchell, who's more of a kind of a guard forward. So, not sure if he fits over there. I've heard that he's not his preferred destination. I don't think it's any player's destination, or should it be?
I heard this too. That's interesting, right? Yeah. So he's leaked. On the mock draft got interesting. It's Jabari Smith projected to be drafted number 1 now. Paolo Banchero projected to be drafted number 2. Keegan Murray jumped up 2 spots,
Ooh, wow.
projected to be drafted number 3. He was projected to be drafted number 5. Jaden Ivey projected to be drafted number 4. Makes sense. Benedict Mathurin jumping up 2 spots,
Wow.
projected to be drafted number 5. Chet Holmgren projected to be drafted number 6.
So let me ask you, Pat. Obviously, you are a big Detroit Pistons fan. They have the 5th pick in the draft. I know you're a big Jabari Smith fan, but you probably won't be able to get him. Who are you looking at? Are you looking at Paulo? Are you looking at Chet? Are you looking at Keegan Murray? Who's a couple guys that you're looking at?
Okay, so for fit, I would want Jabari, Polio, or Chet Holmgren if any of those could fall to us, because
Mm.
we need a power forward. Even though out of all of those 3 I just listed, the one I'm least strong on is Chet Holmgren. But if we can't get one of the big quotation mark 3, I would like either Keegan Murray or Jaden Ivey, because I think they both can contribute right away if needs that we have, more so than Benedict Mathurin from Arizona.
Yeah, I do like a lot of these guys in this draft. I do like Chet Holmgren. I think he's very talented. You got 3 really talented big men in this draft. I think all have the ability to shoot the basketball, which is very important. If you have a big guy that can shoot, they become very dangerous. Which is what Chet Holmgren, Paulo Banchero, and Jabari Smith can all do to at least some extent. And even Keegan Murray as well. So I think all those guys could have their very good careers in the NBA. You look at Detroit, they got some young players over there. Cade Cunningham's a very versatile player. Number 1 overall last year. I think he's very talented. I
Oh
like
yeah,
Sadiq Bey, can definitely shoot the basketball. I think even Isaiah Stewart, I think has the potential to be a very good center. But they definitely need to keep building, and I think if they can get one of those power forwards, a guy like Keegan Murray or a guy like Paulo Banchero or something like that, I think that would go a long way to helping them continue to build eventually a championship level team.
and there's no shame in taking Keegan Murray. He was the Karl Malone Power Forward of the Year award winner, so that's the best power forward in college basketball by the pundits. Even though the real best power forward was Paolo Banchero or Jabari Smith in terms of potential for this draft. So Keegan Murray's like a guy who's played in college and he can come in right away. I'm not like, at first I was like shit, but now he's kind of warmed up. I've kind of warmed up to Keegan. But I take the risk of even Chet if Chet falls out of the top 4. I would take the risk with Chet because of his shot blocking ability. I don't like him the most out of these top 5 potential picks, but because I feel like he's really scrawny and he needs to put on some weight because he's going to get bullied by Giannis's, Jokic's,
Mm-hmm.
and Embiid's if he plays center. But I feel like if we don't get Polio, when we don't get Jabari, and we can't get Jaden Ivey, and if we got Jaden Ivey, we'd move Killian Hayes to our 6-man and have Jaden Ivey be our starting shooting guard or point guard, and then Cade be point with the other guard. Um, yeah, we draft Keegan Murray down if like he's available because it's safe. But I don't like Shaden Sharp. People think they should draft him high. Hasn't really played too much at Kentucky,
Yeah.
and he has a lot of upside, but he's a huge risk.
Yeah, I'm not sold on him. I just haven't seen a lot from him. I'm hearing he could be a big wild card in this draft. I'm hearing he could go as high as fourth to the Kings. And he could even drop all the way to the 10 spot to the Washington Wizards. So he's definitely a big wild card. It's kind of unknown where he's going to go, who he's being targeted by. So, but he definitely, like you said, he has talent. We just haven't seen him.
So who do you think the Knicks should draft?
Okay, so Knicks have the 11th pick. They really need a point guard, okay? They really need a point guard. Obviously, they're not going to get Jay Navi unless they trade up, although I do hear they are interested, along with a bunch of other teams, in moving up to get that 4th pick. But if not, I mean, I wouldn't mind they take this kid Sharp. He has potential. I'm not too sure about any of these other point guards in this draft, but I would like to see them try get a point guard for sure because they really. I mean, I like Emmanuel quickly, but to this point, he's shown to be more of a bench guy, more of a 6-man than a starter, and he's still very, very young. So I would like to see them draft a point guard. That being said, it all depends what happens in free agency. All right, well, free agency after the draft, it depends what their plans are. If they think they can go and get Jalen Brunson and sign him, maybe they'll look to get a wing. If they're not, I think they'll leave point guard.
Okay. Who they're projected to be drafting with the 10th pick is Ochai about. Oh wait, sorry, they got the 11th. It's Johnny
Yeah.
Davis
Ooh,
from
that would be a
from
guy I would love.
Wisconsin.
I'm I'm not even sure if he'll last to 11. I would be honestly a little surprised if Johnny Davis were to drop to 11th pick. If he's a really good player, shooting guard out of Wisconsin, he can really shoot. I would love to get Johnny Davis. I would be more than happy with that pick. I just don't know if he'll be there at 11.
How versatile is RJ?
He's a shooting guard. He can play small forward. I wouldn't. He's not a point guard though, but he can play small forward as well as shooting guard.
All right, just keep that in mind because if you draft Johnny Davis, you might want to move for certain small ball lineups RJ to the free.
Yeah, that's probably what they'll do because I don't think Johnny Davis can really play small forward. Meanwhile, RJ has the size, and he's definitely played small forward before. In fact, whenever they had a lot of times when they had Evan Fournier on the court with him, I think at times they had him play small forward.
Anyways, thank you for having me on. I love talking about the NBA draft, and I want to do talking about free agency when the draft's over on my show. Hopefully, there's still NBA stories to get us through the summer. But thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. And yeah, keep up the great work. You do a good job, man. Keep it up.
Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on. That was
Yeah,
Pat
no
Ruch.
problem.
We were talking about the NBA draft. NBA draft is Thursday. Should be very, very interesting. I don't see one, obvious number one in this draft. There's no Zion Williamson. When I say Zion, I mean obvious number one. Obviously, Zion is always injured. I mean, obviously we all knew he was going to be number one pick heading into the draft. No one like that. Probably Chet Holmgren, Polo Banchero, and Jabari Smith, the 3 very talented big men. Probably go the first 3. I could see Jaden Ivey being a top 4 pick. After that, it's kind of a mystery. Keegan Murray, I think you could argue the top 5 player. Yeah, Johnny Davis, I think definitely a top 10 player, if not top 5. Benedict Malforin from Arizona. He had a big poster dunk in the tournament. He's Going to be a guy who'll probably a top 10 pick. You got Shaden Sharp, probably the biggest wild card in the draft. Very talented, but didn't play a lot of college basketball like at Kentucky. So this guy will probably be in the top 10. I'm hearing he could even sneak into the top 5. There's a lot of very talented players in this draft, but there's no stud like there has been in past years. So it should be very, very interesting. I'll talk more about it as we get closer, and I'll definitely do a mock draft live on. I'll do a show that will be a mock draft very, very soon. But now on to MLB. Scores from last night. Phillies and Nationals had a doubleheader. Phillies over the Nationals 5-3 in the first game. Second game, Phillies beat the Nationals 8-7 in 10 innings. There was a controversial call in that one. And it was the top of the 10th inning. It was 6-6. And it was second and third and 1 out. And J.T. Realmuto hit a base hit. It scored 1 run. Reese Hoskins was out by like 3 years at the plate. Shouldn't even sent them home. By the time the ball was at the plate, he was only halfway home. So he was, out by a mile. At the end, he just walked into the cabinet because he knew he was going to be out. But then the umpire, I believe the second was the second or the third base umpire. One of those umpires called fielder interference on National shortstop Luis Garcia, which allowed Reese Hoskins to score, made 8-6. David Martinez, Nationals manager, was very, very upset. He came out. He was screaming in the umpire's face. He eventually was thrown out of the game. That being said, I did not think it was interference. Okay, the fielder has the right to try to make the play. So what that means is, in layman's terms, if they are trying to make the play, they technically can interfere with the runner if they're trying to make the play. Garcia was diving for the ball, the ground ball, and he just happened to bump into Hoskins because the ball happened to be in Hoskins' running lane. So I personally did not think that it was fielder interference. If anything, you could probably call runner interference on Hoskins. He got in the way of Garcia, but probably shouldn't have been interference at all. If anything, like I said, should be interference on Hoskins, the base runner, but probably, I think, should not have been interference at all. But Phillies won both games. They sweep the doubleheader. Either way, Washington still would have been down by a run, although they would have ended up tying it because they scored a run above and a half. Half of the inning. That's what happened. Other games, we had Cubs over the Braves, 1-0. Cubs, I think, are the first team in MLB history to snap a 10-game losing streak and also snap someone else's win streak of at least 10 games. They snapped a 10-game losing streak, and they snapped the Braves' 14-game win streak. Orioles over the Rays, 1-0. Brewers over the Reds, 5-4. Giants over the Pirates, 2-0. Yankees over the Blue Jays, 12-3. Red Sox over the Cardinals, 6-5. Mets over the Marlins, 10-4. Rangers over the Tigers, 7-0. Astros over the White Sox, 13-3. Rockies over the Padres, 10-4. Diamondbacks over the Twins, 7-2. Royals over the Athletics, 5-1. Mariners over the Angels, 8-1. And Guardians over the Dodgers, 2-1. We got some injury updates for the Mets. Unfortunately, Tyler Miguel will be shut down for 4 weeks with a right shoulder strain. That being said, reinforcements will be coming soon. Max Scherzer is going to begin a rehab assignment. He threw away 50 pitches in a simulated game the other day. He's going to begin a rehab assignment. James McCann, their catcher, is beginning a rehab assignment. He began his rehab assignment on Thursday at Double-A. Looks like he'll play probably 2 more rehab games, and they should have him back after that. Jacob deGrom, of course, when healthy, the league's best pitcher. He has not pitched all year. He is very close to rehab assignment. Should have him some point in July, is what they are saying right now. Also, Colin Holderman, one of their relievers, guy they kind of called up for depth, ended up pitching very well, being one of their better guys. He's been out with a shoulder impingement. He said he's hoping for a minimum stay. He's eligible to come up on the 23rd, which is I believe on Thursday. So hopefully he's back soon. So we should get a couple guys back. Hopefully James McCann, our starting catcher. Hopefully next week, hopefully by at least next weekend, we get back Colin Holderman, who's one of our best relievers. And hopefully we can get Scherzer back in the next couple weeks, and then hopefully DeGrom can follow in hopefully in like another month or so. U.S. Open going on right now. Right now we have Colin Morikawa and Joel Damon are tied for first at 5 under. Rory McIlroy is one back, as is Jon Rahm and a bunch of other guys. Aaron Wise only one back. Scottie Scheffler's only 2 back. Is a mixture of big names and no names at the top of the leaderboard. You got Colin Morikawa, who's tied for the lead. You got Rory McIlroy, who's red hot right now. He won the RBC Canadian Open. Of course, one of the best players in the world. He's one off the lead. Jon Rahm is one off the lead. Scottie Scheffler's 2 off the lead. But then you have a bunch of other guys who are within a shot or two are also up there. Joe Damon's tied for the lead. You got, all these other guys. Aaron Wise, Bo Hostler, Hayden Buckley, all those guys are one back. Nick Hardy's 2 back. Brian Horman's 2 back. Patrick Ruch is 2 back. Matthew DeSmith is 2 back. Adam Hadwin is 3 back. So it's very, very tight right now at the U.S. Open. I think there's like 7 guys within one shot of the lead. It's the most ever through 36 holes in the history of the U.S. Open. We could be in for a very exciting finish. By the way, Phil Mickelson did not make the cut. He shot 11 over par in the first 2 days. Ouch. Was 8 over 78 on Thursday, and then yesterday shot 3 over 73, so he missed the cut. U.S. Open is allowing the LIV Tour players to play in U.S. Open, so all of them are playing. Obviously, Phil missed the cut. Yeah, Dustin Johnson is also playing, but he's not doing too well. He's at even par right now, 5 shots off the lead. That's what we got going on in the U.S. Open. As for WWE Friday Night SmackDown, it was last night. I thought it was an excellent show. Interesting start to the show. Before they even did like a little intro music thing that they did, Vince McMahon made an appearance. He said, welcome to SmackDown. Welcome to SmackDown in Minnesota. And basically, he said, thank the WWE Universe and to enjoy the show. Of course, there is allegations swarming around him right now, as well as John Laurinaitis, the head of talent in WWE. That supposedly he paid $3 million in hush money to a former female employee that he supposedly had an affair with. We don't know many details right now. Vince McMahon has already stepped down as CEO and chairman of WWE, which is a big storyline, of course, right now. And he said he will accept whatever findings come out, whatever they are. His daughter, Stephanie McMahon, right now is the interim CEO and chairwoman. That's what we got right now. We'll see what happens with the investigation and what happens from there. But right now, Stephanie McMahon is the CEO and chairwoman. Of course, her husband, Triple H. Of course, he's he's the COO of WWE. Has been for a long time. Now, Shane McMahon's the other kid we haven't seen in a while, but that's not important. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm gonna get to that in a minute. But first, to continue on with SmackDown, by the way, Vince's 2-minute speech I thought was pretty stupid. We had Madcap Moss defeated Happy Corbin in the match, and then Happy Corbin went on to the announce table and started yelling at Pat McAfee, saying, I've known you a long time, and you've always been low on me. When I was you used to call me a bum, and even after I came out of a tough spot, this is storyline wise, not in his real life. He said, "You still call me a bum." He says, he threatened them, and then Pat McAfee to Michael Cole, "Do you mind?" Michael Cole said yes, and then Pat McAfee took off his headset. He stood up, he grabbed the microphone, and then he started chanting "Bum ass Corbin," and then said, I'm going to have everyone laugh you out of the arena, and everyone laughed Baron Corbin out of the arena as he slowly left the arena, and then the New Day came out and laughed at him, and they ended up defeating Jinder Mahal and Shanky in a tag team match, which was pretty funny. Shanky was beating up Kofi Kingston, and then Xavier Woods started playing his trombone, and Shanky started dancing, and he got distracted, and then eventually Jinder Mahal ended up getting pinned, and Jinder Mahal got pissed off that Shanky was dancing to the New Day's music. We had Natalya cut a promo about Ronda Rousey, She will be challenging Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship at Money in the Bank. Then Adam Pearce brought Drew McIntyre and Sheamus to the ring because in their Money in the Bank qualifying match, they both hit each other with chairs, so they both got disqualified. So they both lost out on an opportunity. But Adam Pearce says he went back and looked at the footage to see if he could see who the chair first. He said Sheamus was in, and Sheamus was laughing in Drew McIntyre's face. Then Drew McIntyre beat Sheamus up, and then Pearce was like, Drew, calm down. And then my next sentence was going to say, you are also in the Money in the Bank ladder match. So far, we know for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match is Seth Rollins from Raw and from SmackDown, Drew McIntyre and Sheamus are also in. Then in the Money in the Bank qualifying match for the woman, Raquel Rodriguez defeated Shayna Baszler. And then Max Dupree was supposed to announce his first client for the Maximum Male Models, whatever this whole thing is supposed to be with him. Then he went into Adam Pearce's office, got in his face, and said that the arena lighting was not good enough, so he did not make an announcement. And then we also had, of course, we had the main event. Roman Reigns defended his WWE and Universal Championships against Riddle. It was a very good match, but Roman Reigns survives. He retained the title. And after the match, he was cutting the promo with the Usos, saying, there's nobody left. He wanted Minnesota to acknowledge him. And then as he was leaving the ring, Brock Lesnar's music hit. He came out, went in the ring. He stuck out his hand to try to shake Roman Reigns' hand. He convinced Roman Reigns to try to shake his hand, but then he F5 Roman Reigns and the F5 both of the Usos. And that will set up a match between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar for the WWE Universal Championship at SummerSlam. A rematch from WrestleMania when they unified the championships, and of course Roman Reigns won that match. Now, before I wrap up, let's talk about the outlook of WWE after Vince McMahon has stepped down. I think this is a long time coming. Vince, these last 2 years, has really screwed up WWE. They've let go of so much talent. You scroll down most of the top superstars they've let go in the last few years. Rusev, Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt, Cesaro, Keith Lee. There's been rumors that possibly they've been doing that to try to save some money so that they can eventually sell the company. You never know. Maybe one of these big corporations like Disney or something will buy them. I mean, Vince is like 77 years old now. He's been, the chairman there for over 30 years. So maybe he just, wants to do some other things. Of course, he's doing the XFL. Hope he got the XFL back. He'll have that back, I think, next year. So maybe he's trying to get into other things, or maybe he just can't do it anymore. And he really can. He really should let Triple H and Stephanie run, which is what is basically happening with Stephanie McMahon as the interim chairwoman and CEO, and of course her husband, Triple H. First of all, it's her husband, and second of all, he's already the COO, so we'll see what happens. Remember, Nick Khan currently is the president of WWE. He became the president about 2 years ago, and he's supposedly been very involved with WWE over the last 2 years. Could Nick Khan possibly rise and possibly be the guy who will be in charge of WWE now with Vince out? So that might be what happens. He might look to sell the company. We're not sure, but I think the outlook is bright. SmackDown looked really good last night. We got some really good matches coming up on Monday Night Raw. You got supposedly Elias is supposed to be returning. You got Becky Lynch versus Asuka in the Money in the Bank qualifying match. So it should be a very interesting Raw this Monday. And see what happens. There's a lot of old timers who still work in the back that Vince has kept around. Now, Nick Khan and Stephanie looks like they're the two main people that run the show right now, with Nick Khan as the president. He's been the president, I think, for about 2 years, and now Stephanie McMahon as the interim CEO and chairwoman. Will they maybe let go of some of those old timers who have were of course retired, but have stuck around the back and in some sort of like administrator role or something. Maybe replace them with some newer people. The older wrestlers might just be there just to honor them. They might not know much about actually making good wrestling matches. Maybe they'll bring in some younger people who may not have as much connection to WWE, but may know wrestling a little bit better. Remember Nick Khan really doesn't have much of a wrestling background, so that's why the speculation is there. Or speculation about a possible sale. The budget cuts probably should stop. They've stopped for the most part, but those should be done. I think. They really didn't need to do them anyway when it comes to they were doing it at first because supposedly they lost money during the pandemic, which they did because they didn't have fans for over a year. But WWE makes so much money; they're a billion-dollar company. God knows how much money they could get if they ended up selling to Disney or something like that. So those I think will definitely stop. If Triple H is going to have an elevated role with his wife now, the CEO and chairwoman for now, does that mean that maybe NXT will get a little bit of a boost? This NXT 2.0 thing really has not worked out. The talent level down there, NXT just is not what it once was. A couple years ago. They added them to the Survivor Series. They ended up winning the Survivor Series, but just so many of these NXT people have come up to WWE. Finn Balor came back to WWE. Shayna Baszler, who was still in NXT. She's in WWE now. You got Adam Cole went to AEW. Kyle O'Reilly went to AEW. So it's just not the same. Outside of Braun Breaker. And now Apollo Crews, who had a decent WWE career, former Intercontinental Champion, he just went to NXT. Besides those couple guys, there's very few guys in NXT that really show me anything. And I think Braun Breaker, who right now is the NXT Champion, I think he is going to be on the WWE roster soon. For a while, WWE's been interested in calling him up. He had that little feud with Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, so he made an appearance on WWE. Obviously, you have Tommaso Ciampa, who might be the greatest NXT superstar of all time. He's one of the greats in NXT. He's now in WWE, so he's done with NXT. So there's really not many guys that are down there anymore. You got Johnny Gargano, who at some point he's going to be in WWE. I don't think he'll be there too much longer. Braun Breaker, the NXT champ, the best guy NXT has. He'll be in WWE probably pretty soon. And Apollo Crews, obviously, I can't imagine he'll be there too long since he obviously has been in WWE his whole career for a while. So he probably won't be there for that long. So maybe they'll help try to get NXT back on the map. By the way, it looks like AEW, I think, is starting to cool off. There's not as many guys who are looking to leave WWE and go to AEW anymore. Obviously, Cody Rhodes, who was one of their main guys, the guy who helped create AEW, he left and went back to WWE, got a lot of money to go back to WWE. Of course, he's injured right now, but when he's healthy, he's one of their top stars. MJF, who was arguably their top guy, he's been removed from the roster after his, off-the-cut promo that bashed Tony Khan. CM Punk's injured right now. If anything, it looks like there's AEW guys that are looking to leave to go to WWE. So I think the landscape of WWE, which has been very stale for quite a while, probably for the last 2 years or so, I think could be turning around quite soon with Vince McMahon stepping aside. One more thing, we got some NFL news. We got mandatory mini camps going on. We got the New York Jets. You got Mekhi Becton, of course, who only played one game last year from our first-round pick, who has not been able to stay on the field, going into his third year. And there were rumors last year that he was very out of shape. Although he's, very, very large. And when he came to the NFL, he was like 340-something pounds. There are people saying, he was looking almost close to 400, which is obviously very concerning. Supposedly he has been working very hard. when he did a press conference the other day, he said like he wants to shove all of his doubters. He's got a T-shirt that says "Big Bust" on it, and then in a circle around it, there's a couple of words that read "fat," "lazy," I think "injury prone," and something else. So he definitely has a chip on his shoulder. Jets are actually considering moving him to right tackle, maybe keeping George Font left tackle, where he played last year when Beckham was out. We'll see what happens there. Steelers safety Mika Fitzpatrick signed a 4-year contract extension worth over $73 million, making him the highest paid safety in the NFL. He's become arguably the best safety in the NFL over the last couple of years since he was traded to the Steelers in 2018. Good for him. And then with Deshaun Watson, the NFL is pushing for a very lengthy suspension, possibly 1 full year, which I think is very well deserved. Now to 26 allegations now against them. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you all for tuning in. Until next time, so long, and have a great day.